How's it going, everyone? Welcome back to Worth the Watch, where I'll go over different movies or series to determine whether you should give them a go or not. Today's installment is a very quick one because the movie's not out of theaters yet, so don't worry about spoilers. Spoiler free. Let's just get straight into it. This is Worth the Watch, Deadpool and Wolverine edition. I've seen a lot of people who are disappointed with this movie. They've called it a cluttered mess with little character development. Are those people wrong? Unfortunately, no, they're not. This movie is a mess. The sexiest and most brilliant mess to hit theaters since Magic Mike, baby! Seriously though, this movie has its flaws. If you haven't seen it yet, don't hype it up in your mind as like an absolute masterpiece. It's kind of all over the place, and if you dwell on some plot points for too long, issues will arise. The villains aren't great. They either have little to no connection with our main characters, or they're treated as a joke when they should have been a little more threatening. I guess it kind of felt like the whole movie had low stakes overall. Now that I've said what we were lacking, I can confidently tell you this movie's strengths outweigh its weaknesses tenfold. Deadpool and Wolverine is the most comic-y comic book movie I've seen. Everything about it just made me smile. They had such an eye for detail when it came to the accuracy of these characters. Deadpool being in the Marvel Cinematic Universe is as big of a deal as you thought. So many doors are now open. I always thought Deadpool would shine a bit brighter if he had other heavy hitters to banter off of. And I was not wrong. Hugh Jackman's Wolverine is the perfect foil for Deadpool. The relationship between the two of them is exactly what we wanted to see. But Wolverine isn't the only Marvel character showing up in this movie. It is cameo galore. I won't spoil any of them, but They were actually quite, clever cameos. They were well-placed ones. They didn't just pop up for the sake of popping up. They were either really, really funny, or they served an emotional purpose in the plot. And another great thing about these cameos, I think the whole intention of them were to be a last send-off to some of these beloved characters that truly deserved more. Let's talk comedy here for a second. I doubt anyone is surprised when I say the movie is very funny. Like I said earlier, now that Deadpool has more characters to work off of, his jokes and everyone else's jokes become a lot less saturated. You will be shocked at what they managed to get away with in this movie for the jokes. And that made me realize Kevin Feige really gave them full creative control for this movie. That's why it feels like such a breath of fresh air for Marvel. Deadpool and Wolverine fits in as a Marvel title without that negative connotation of feeling like a Marvel movie. Another thing that sets it apart from Marvel movies of the past is the action. It's bloody, gruesome, and extremely creative. This is not a spoiler because it is in the trailer, but Wolverine and Deadpool, they do fight, and it is fantastic. I feel like in the past two Deadpool movies, he got cool moments for sure. It was definitely cool, but they never really let him be a badass against the main characters, main villains. That is not an issue here. You get to see him actually zip his lips and go to work with spectacular choreography. I almost forgot to mention the suits. They're perfect. Deadpool's more saturated red really makes his suit pop, and it looks like it was ripped straight out of a comic and taped to the theater screen. It looks so good. Same with Wolverine's suit. He finally got it, and somehow it's just not goofy at all. I don't even know why I said somehow, because it looks glorious. They actually made it a point in the movie as to why he is wearing it, so that's something to look forward to if you haven't seen it yet. It's actually kind of cool. The significance of this movie is huge. Deadpool kind of actually is Marvel Jesus. I think Marvel really wanted to use this as an opportunity to show us that they've been listening and that they're course correcting from all the garbage that they've been throwing at us. So overall, I think Deadpool and Wolverine is a great indicator for the future of Marvel. For my final rank, I have to take into consideration all of the variables here. The story is nothing to write home about, and the character development wasn't handled masterfully. But development aside, the starting point for these characters is so accurate to who they are. The fights were creatively done, the comedy was a step up from prior films, and it was just a glorious experience to watch. Deadpool and Wolverine is a 16 out of 20. Normally, I wouldn't put anything that high if it had a lackluster story, but let's be honest here, I don't think that was the primary objective from the creators. It was made to be a fun action comedy, and it's a damn good one at that. It has its holes, its flaws, but what it does well, it excels at, and it surely makes up for the shortcomings in all the other departments. If you are a fan of Marvel, you have to see this movie. It's like I said earlier, a breath of fresh air. It seems like we're finally changing things up and we're gonna get a little more variety in the films from Marvel, which is what we want. We don't want to see, what are people calling it? The cookie cutter formula. Alrighty, that's the end of the video. Like I said, it's a quick one. Could you do me a favor? Maybe leave a like on the video. I think that helps a lot. I know it helps my self-esteem, so would subscribing. That would be a big one. And commenting. Love to hear what you guys have to say. Other than that, have a fantastic rest of your morning, evening, or night. I'll be seeing you in the next one. Ciao.